Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of The Text Critic. I know that might sound a direct ripoff of the Nostalgia Critic, but I can assure you it isn't. Last episode we looked at a book that I thought was really entertaining, really engaging, and just all around a very fun read, entitled The Invisible Library. Today we're going to be taking a look at a book that I'm finding to be a little bit more difficult to get into as far as the plot line and how the whole story kind of fits together. It's a novel by George Mann. It's called Ghosts of Karnak. Karnak, Ghosts of Karnak. It's so far, I don't know exactly how to explain it. The excerpt on the back of the book explains that a woman is found dead on the streets of New York. Ancient Egyptian symbols covered her flesh, or carved into her flesh. A ghostly figure is seen floating over the rooftops in the city, and an expedition returns from Cairo to exhibit their finds at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Gabriel's old friend and lover, Ginny Gray, was a part of the expedition, but when Gabriel goes to meet her at the ship, Ginny is not on board. So there's like three stories that are all kind of within this one book, which can make it confusing if you don't read that back cover. And, you know, kind of going into this book blind, not knowing that, it makes it really difficult to get in, because each chapter is starting off at the beginning of each story, and I don't know if all three of these stories are going to conjoin into one story, because I'm only on chapter 4, I'm almost on chapter 5. So I don't know if the stories are going to combine into one, and they're going to find out exactly what's happening with the girl that was found dead. But within the first 4.5 chapters that I've read, it just kind of jumps around, and you kind of don't know where they are, and you kind of get used to reading this one story, and then all of a sudden you get to the next chapter and it starts over with another story in a new location with new characters. And I mean, it's a good read, it really is. It's really entertaining, but it's really confusing because there's no way, aside from the chapter numbers, to know exactly what story is currently happening in that chapter. So in that respect, it is a bit confusing to read. But the one of the quotes on the front of the book says, "A fast, furious, ultra-entertaining read," and that was by fantasy book critic. So apparently they liked it. Text critic likes it. I do like it. It does have a lot of good reviews on the back. This book does have the same sort of thing that the last book has. It has fiction on the back of it. I don't know if this is something new that all books, are doing, or if it's just something that now, because I've never noticed this on other books previously. This book does cost $14.95 or $15 US, and roughly about $20 Canadian, and 8 euros or $7.99 UK. So I'm guessing they use the pound. So about 8 quid probably for this book in the UK. You can pick this up. So it definitely is a good read. Very confusing though from the start. Even having read the little description on the back of the book, I still was very confused going from chapter 1 to 2, because Chapter 1 starts out with the woman being found dead in the streets of New York, with the ancient Egyptian symbols carved in her flesh. And then the second chapter goes right into the ghostly figure being seen floating over the rooftops of the city. And then chapter 3, and I think parts of chapter 4 have to do with the expedition from Cairo. So it is very confusing, kind of jumping into it, not knowing, like I mentioned. But I'm sure, as the quotes on not only the back of the book, but also the one on the front suggest, I can assume that this will be an entertaining read. I usually try to only do one review of a book, but I want to do something different for each book that I read. I'm going to do a review of the first few chapters of the book, what I think of it, and then once I complete the book, I'll do a revisit, and then I'll tell you what I thought of the book when I finished reading it. So hopefully when I finish this book, let's see how many chapters are in here. When I finish the final chapter of this book, what is it? Anyway, when I finish the final chapter, I will hopefully do another revisit of this book, Ghosts of Karnak, and hopefully it will be better than what I am expecting the book to be. So hopefully all the stories will get fleshed out, and I can't recommend it right now because I don't know much about it. I'm only in the 5th chapter, but it is a decent read so far. And at the revisit of this book, I will tell you whether or not it is a good book or a no bueno book. So until next time, I've been the Text Critic. Happy reading.